Moicano wants money. Or maybe not. Moicano declined a payment from the settlement lawsuit, the settlement of the lawsuit, the monopoly lawsuit of the UFC. A lot of people in the MMA community are giving him a lot of hate, why I think it's nonsense to hate on him for this, and why I understand his position in this video. Hello and welcome to Bloodsport MMA.
Salam alaikum.
Alright you guys, I'll try to sum it up as quickly and easy as possible. So the UFC is the biggest MMA organization in the world, right? And a lot of fighters, I think the era is from 2007 to 2017 or something, I'm butchering this. A lot of fighters from the era sued the UFC in a class action lawsuit as a monopoly. They said, the claim is basically that the UFC is a monopoly and they underpay their fighters. Basically means the fighters that fought under the UFC umbrella during that time, or still, but in that lawsuit it's just about a certain time frame, did not get paid enough money, and they could not really, they did not have any negotiating power to change the money they get, because there was no other organization that they could go to if the UFC does not want to pay them. So they have the choice of either being in the UFC and getting paid what the UFC wants to pay them, or going nowhere, because there's not really any other organization that is anywhat close to the UFC in terms of their power and their fame and all of that, and their money ability as well, right? So that is basically the whole thing about the lawsuit. They claim the UFC is a monopoly and all of that, and then at the end of the day they settled. At the beginning the lawsuit was about making the UFC reliable for being a monopoly and kind of, you know what I mean, punish them in a way that the fighters from the future will benefit from that change until infinity, right? That there is a real change in the structure and how the payments work and all of that for UFC fighters. I think they wanted some insurance and whatever they wanted. I did not read the whole lawsuit, so correct me if I'm wrong. But that was the main goal for the lawsuit, to change the whole dynamic of UFC versus fighters. And then though, they settled when the UFC lawyers offered a settlement. They settled for 375 million, I think. So all fighters, as far as I'm concerned, all fighters from that particular time frame that the lawsuit is about, 2007, 2017, something like that, all fighters that competed there, depending on how often you competed and what your status was on that card, if you were the main event, the prelim, whatever, get a certain percentage, a certain cut from that 375 million. So obviously if you were a big star, you get more money than if you just had a prelim fight in the UFC, but you still get a little bit of money, right? That's the whole base of it. So Moicano then, out of all the fighters, was I think the only one that publicly stated, I will not accept, I will not take that money. I do not want that money, right? And rightfully so, a lot of people immediately thought like, what the hell's going on? You are Money Moicano, you are famous for wanting money from everyone. I remember when I was in a stream once, because I made this video with him. Moicano wants money.
Porra! Porra! Let's go!
Because of this video, I think I said in a stream once on Twitch, when I joined there real quick, that we have a video together, blah, 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 where we say this, whatever. And he's like, you have a video with me? You have to pay me. You have to subscribe to my channel now. You have to pay me for that. I don't do anything for free, whatever. Of course, in a fun way. So Moicano is famous for always wanting money, for everything. So people were like, how are you not taking the money? You think Dana White will rob your back for that or something? They thought he does that. That was the assumption of most of the fans and people like Brandon Schaub and those guys. They thought that Moicano is not taking the money because he thinks the UFC will then, because of that, reward him maybe with a better contract or just better treatment, whatever, and the UFC will just see him as their new favorite son or something like that. Which I can see why people think that, but once you listen to Moicano's explanation of it, why he did not take the money, it all makes sense. Right? You at least see the thought behind it, and you have to respect it. You can still say it's stupid to not take the money, but you have to respect his decision.
USA respect!
Because, to sum it up quickly again, Moicano said, if you know Moicano, he's anti-globalist, anti-this and that, and he reads a lot of books about money, about government and all of that. He's very interested in those things, and because of that has a very strong opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, that opinion doesn't matter. His opinion is that he wants less government, he wants the government to have less power, and the people, the companies to have more power and take care of themselves, right? And he has a point that in this case, first of all, even Ariel Helwani himself admitted this, that the fighters, the people who were involved in that lawsuit kind of sold their soul anyways, because they started that lawsuit with the title or the description that they want to do that to help the fighters of tomorrow and want to change the sport for good. And then as soon as money got offered to settle, as soon as they saw, damn, I could get paid and not have to continue with that lawsuit, okay, let's take it. Nothing changed in the sport. There's no rule change, nothing. Fighter pay does not change at all. Nothing changed. The only thing that changes is that you can't sue the UFC anymore for being monopoly because the lawsuit is over now, right? That is already done. You can't do that anymore. So as soon as they saw an opportunity to take money and leave, they took it. So they kind of abandoned their whole reason, the whole motto behind it, right? So they kind of sold their soul, you could say.
You took money from Magomedov!
And I would agree with that. Whilst I understand it from a certain perspective that you just take the money after all those years, at the same time, you did not stand on your principles. And Moicano is a guy that stands on his principles, and that's why I respect his decision so much. And I made a huge weave here around why he decided to not take the money. He said, look, I want less government and all of that. And in his opinion, the UFC can't be a monopoly because monopolies can only be from the government. As long as you are a normal organization that is not government guided or doesn't belong to the government, if you are just so successful, that's free market capitalism, right? If you are so successful and you just beat all your opponents, all your competition, right? Then you rightfully so are the number one with no real number two. If you're just so good, it's not like the UFC got sponsored by the USA government and because of that is, I don't know, part of the US government, and because of that they were so big, and because of them, because of that reason the PFL can't grow or something like that. It's just that the UFC has the smartest business people behind them and is the only organization that really works and really generates revenue. That's just the fact of the matter, and that's why they are so big.
It's so big.
Of course you can cry about, yeah, if you don't accept the money the UFC offers you, you have to go to PFL or One Championship or something like that, where you probably won't get as many fights and you probably will have a lot more problems and probably not get, depending on what kind of a star you are, not get paid as much either, right? But that's not the UFC's problem. It's not the UFC's problem that other organizations can't figure it out. It's not the UFC's problem that you are not a star yet and because of that only get paid 12 and 12. That's not the UFC's problem. They offer you money to be on the biggest stage in this world. If you want to take it, take it. If you don't want to take it, they don't force you to take it. That's what he said as well. He signed that contract back in the day to receive 12 and 12. He signed that contract. No one put a knife in his back and said sign the contract. He himself signed the contract and he was the happiest man ever when he signed his first UFC contract. So why would he now accept money that kind of claims that, hey, oh no, I was underpaid back in the day. Oh no, I'm a victim. I need money now for back then and all of that. Even though back then you cannot even make a claim that you deserve more. No one knew you.
Who gave him back? We have to check that moment.
You have to see people that are new to the UFC, that are 12 and 12 fighters that just come onto the scene, they make the UFC lose money. They don't bring any ticket sales in, they don't sell t-shirts, they do nothing. All the UFC does is pay money for your promotion, promote you on Instagram and all of that, pay money to let you in the PI whenever you want, however you want and all of that. They pay for your flights, they pay for your coaches, for hotels and all of that, and they pay you a purse as well to compete for most people that are new to the UFC, for no one to really care, right? So you cannot really complain about that. And of course you can always say people deserve more and all of that. But Moicano said, look, if I'm against the government, why would I take money that literally the government decided, and you have to watch the whole Helwani podcast to see the detailed explanation of that. I'm just trying to scratch the surface here. The government decided that the UFC has to pay money to those fighters in that settlement. That's government decided, right? He wants less government. So him taking money that is kind of a sentence from the government, that the government decided that that money has to be given to you from the company, from a private company, is totally against everything he believes in, right? And as I said, you don't have to agree with what he believes in, but you have to respect that he stands on his principles. I myself think, hey, he should just have taken the money. You can give it to charity, whatever, whatever. Because the money is already there. The UFC already spent that money. You know what I mean? It's not like the UFC benefits from you not taking it. They already spent it. It's already out of the books, right? But I respect that he stood on his principles and said no. Just because, yeah, it would be nice money. I would love to take it, but I could not look in the mirror the next day with that money. I could not look myself in the mirror because I have such strong beliefs. Such as a side opinion of his. That's his whole mentality. And he's stuck to that. And I respect that. If Khabib does it, if Khabib sticks to his religion or his beliefs and all of that, or just whoever else, you say, oh, he's so real, oh, he's the realist and all of that, you have to respect him, he didn't sell out. When Moicano does it, people are like, oh, you're too stupid, blah, 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 MMA fighters, you got hit in the head too much. Like, bro, make it make sense. You know what I mean? As I said, I understand if you did not hear his explanation why you might think it's stupid, but once you hear his explanation, you have to at least respect it. You don't have to agree with it, but you have to at least respect his decision to stand his ground, stand on his principles, and not take money from something he does not deem as rightful. And I, as I said, respect that a lot. But Moicano, if you want to send them money somewhere else, maybe give them my bank account. I'll take it. Write your opinion in the comments, you guys. What do you think about the whole Moicano thing? What is your opinion about all of this topic? Write in the comments, like this video, guys, subscribe to the channel, would appreciate that. Become a Bloodsport member from this channel, all the good stuff. Check out the links in the bio, the merch. Check it out, you guys. Stay bloody, and until the next one, bye-bye. Bloodsport out.